What's up, guys? Podcast episode 37. Dave Van Auken to the left, the Savage One, Gillian, the Savage Robertson. What's up, G? How are you?
I'm doing great. I think 2 weeks ago I had a little, like a minor knee surgery. So this week we're just kind of like starting to get back into it, starting to move a little bit. So it feels nice. I've been kind of like fiending, I'm like, it's like the drug that I need. So I'm finally back to training.
Would you say, 2 weeks post-op, like, are you 75, are you 50, are you 90? Where do you think you're at on the percentage?
Probably 50 to 75%, I would say.
Okay.
I'm doing like all drills, and going live a little bit in boxing, but no jiu-jitsu going live right now, and just kind of gentle with it. But it's been very good and very quick recovery for me. So it's been awesome.
Dope. All right. Maybe at the end of the episode, we'll get into, there is Saturday night in Vegas, Shevchenko Grasso 2. Sean Strickland just won the UFC middleweight championship of the world. We'll get into that. Oh yeah, we're live. Thiago Silva, is that the Thiago Silva? All right. Anyways, but more importantly, this is something so cool to my heart. I absolutely love this. So I probably told this story way too many times. The first podcast when I made this jump into these Fight Bananas land, Jillian just was like, yeah, Dave, I got you. She's like, I got you. She's like, she saw this hair. She saw the future. She's like, yeah, Dave, I know you're going to be an absolute star. So yeah, she's like, I got you. And it was amazing that on Friday and Saturday consecutively, you and I are doing 2 commentating paid gigs in Florida, in this great state of Florida. Game bred bare knuckle MMA for me and Jorge. I'm hosting press conferences with Dos Santos and Verdum and Jorge, and I'm doing pre-shows and in-ring and then the interviews, and you're doing commentating work. And I know like that's something really cool to you that you can foresee for sure doing it, and how awesome that Laura Sanko did the pay-per-view and all that nature. I loved your posts. You and Charles Rosa, an ex-UFC fighter, were doing it. And I just loved it. Like, it was just so cool. And like, and I know you do a ton of stuff for Fight Bananas and all that nature. It was just so cool that it was like, dude, you and I are doing 2 different paid gigs, commentary gigs, like not Fight Bananas related at all. Like, you were getting paid for a different show. I was getting paid for a different show. I thought it was so dope. I loved it.
Oh yeah. We stay busy.
Yeah, we do.
It was absolutely awesome weekend. Long night of fights. We literally were there all night long, but it was a great night of fights. Every single fight, I don't think I've ever seen a card that was so evenly matched that night. Okay. It was just every fight went to a decision, but every fight was a banger. And I was just happy I wasn't one of the judges that night, because it was like, one round I would give to one guy, the other round I'd give to another guy, and it would always be up to the third, and both guys would go at it the whole third round.
I love that. How did our girl Kayla Stricker do?
Again, it was another, like, how every fight that night went. It was a banger. They probably had fight of the night, honestly. They stayed in each other's faces, scrapping for every single round. It was a Muay Thai with specific rules. So they wore MMA gloves and were able to throw elbows. They had elbow pads on it, but it was just sick. A Muay Thai fight. Yeah. And she did lose the decision, but I feel like it could have went either way, honestly. Like, it was such a toss-up. Every fight that night was just such a toss-up.
And, it's an amateur show. It is what it is. So if she got good experience and got more, more content in that side, into the octagon, that's awesome. That's good for her. That's awesome. Was there a fighter on that show or someone that jumped out? You and I commentate a lot on island fights. There's always someone that jumps out at us. We're like, holy, Juan Alvarez for certain. We'll get into him on the Game Bred Bare Knuckle show. We'll definitely jump into that, I know. But was there someone on that show that were like, Dave, like, this guy or girl was absolutely awesome. Keep an eye on him for, future shows or a UFC possibility?
The main event, Kevin Morales, he cross-trains with my gym Gocha a little bit, so I've definitely seen him work a little bit in the past, but he went out there and just honestly put on a wrestling clinic, and he's someone that I've always known as a Muay Thai guy. So to see him go out there and just dominate wrestling and jiu-jitsu, it was a very impressive win, and I believe that's only his 3rd fight, but that was a 3rd amateur fight and for a title.
That's dope. That's cool. maybe the probably most important question I'm going to ask you on this podcast. How much better am I as a commentator than Charles Rosa?
No comment. No comment.
I love it. I love it. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's awesome. But so it's WCCS? Is that the name of the show? WCS?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, that's cool. I like it. I like it. So that was Saturday night, the night of UFC 293. It was funny. So Maddie Levine and Ross Levine, karate combat middleweight champion of the world. They flew down. They really wanted to do some stuff for Game Brand Bare Knuckle. I'll get into that story there in a second. But they actually had a couple friends on that show. So not even with you commentating, we wanted to hear you, of course. So hopefully you get pay-per-view dollars that way as well. But it was UFC 293, and we were watching your show on the iPhone at the house because they had people that they knew on the show. So I thought it was pretty dope. We were like multitasking on a Saturday night. That was wild. It is funny to me that a lot of regional local shows, like they will go against a UFC pay-per-view, which is pretty wild.
Right, especially like this pay-per-view that we had this weekend.
Yeah.
Probably something that I saw on Instagram that I think is just crazy is that two of the biggest upsets in UFC history have probably both happened in Australia. And that was,
in Australia. 100 pay-per-views apart. Exactly. Isn't that nuts?
That's wild. I didn't even see that.
193 and 293.
Oh, wow. That's wild. Yeah. Who would have thought Sean Strickland would have just walked out there and like, I feel like everybody was all against him.
Yeah. It was two people in the world picked Sean Strickland. Like, I just didn't see that happening. And like, it's been 4 or 5 days now since, and I don't know, like I'm literally making a podcast about it after this. So I'll give some of the scoop, I guess. I don't know what it is. And maybe these are reasons or valid points, and tell me if you're like, Dave, yeah, you might be onto something, or maybe I'm way off. Like, I don't know if Israel Adesanya, it's his home country, and maybe he felt the pressure of trying to sell tickets and city kickboxing. Maybe he felt the pressure of securing the pay-per-view and making sure everyone had their seats and making sure everyone even like underneath them like felt good and on the card. I don't know if that was the thing too. And you could probably talk on this. That Piera win was the most emotional win of his career. He lost to him. It was his biggest rival ever. Then he came back and beat him, did the bow thing to him. It was the biggest win of his life. And then like, this was like such a layoff. Like this, he had no rivalry with Strickland. There wasn't any really buzz. Like Strickland was like a backup to like DDP Duplessis. And it was just like, I just felt like he never got up for this fight. Like there wasn't even the press coverage, like Strickland was going after him, but like literally Israel Adesanya had more beef with that flyweight Manel Cap than he did Strickland. It just felt like he never took him serious. And I just I don't know if that's a legitimate reason. And then thirdly, with that being said, I just felt like he never really took Strickland as like, oh, I can lose to him. Like I just never really felt he took him 100%. Like I can really lose to this man. And you just can't do that at that high of a level. It was a bad matchup for him. Strickland just kept on going. He didn't get into the kickbox distance. He got into the boxing distance, got too close to him, and he beat him. Like literally beat him for 5 rounds. And we have a new champion. It's wild.
Oh yeah, and I've seen a lot of people say that like they think that Strickland got into Adesanya's head, and that's why he didn't necessarily perform. Because I feel like it did look like Adesanya was like a shell of himself almost in there. But Robert Whitaker went and posted, he's like, yeah, Sean Strickland got in his head with his jab in his right hand. Like,
right.
He could have just shut down Izzy's game so much being a kickboxer and enforcing that boxing range.
And that's very true. And I another kind of comment I came up with was, do you remember when Izzy fought Gastelum? It was like 10 pay-per-views ago for Izzy. And a lot of people had it like 2-2. It was that war. It was like Izzy's first war. And his lip was all busted. His eye was all busted. And it was for the interim champion. And he came out. It's like that really cool. They had the video. And he said, like, I'll die for this. Like, he will die for this. And and I'll get on to the second part of this in a second. Like that dog of Izzy, like never came out. Like still in the 5th round or the 4th round, the fight. Izzy won the second round on all 3 judges' scorecard. I think almost universal. He won the second card. Like Izzy just never kind of turned like into that dog. He never kind of like, holy crap, like I'm losing here. Okay, let's get into a boxing match. Let's get into a war. Let's get into a bare knuckle fight. Like, let's just go to war. Like, let's just see what happens. If I get knocked out, I get knocked out. Like, let's just do something different. He just never kind of got into that mind state. It was weird. And I have maybe a little reason why, but I'll give it to you there.
I was just going to say, especially 4th and 5th round, it's like you need to know, and especially as a world champion, that it's like, it's like all or nothing then, It's like you got to go balls to the wall, kind of just go for the knockout. And it's like if you do get knocked out, it's like you're losing the fight anyway. So why not just go for it?
Right. And with that being said, and maybe I'm way off base here, and you never know until you're in those shoes. And I say this all the time, and you can never judge someone else's spot until you're in that spot, man, woman, fighter, whatever. But that's Izzy's 12th time headlining a UFC event. You never want to count another man's money, but that's 12 UFC headlines. That's 12 UFC pay-per-view points. And if you just want to be on average and even lowball and just say that man's made $1 million per event. And this event, and like I said, you never want to count another man's money, but this event, it was said he made $3 million, but just say lowball $1 million per event. That's $12 million. Like he's made multi-million dollars. Maybe like it's different. Like Strickland hasn't made that type of money before. So that's why, and I don't think Strickland's the type of guy about money, but like Strickland was just going out like he's just a dog and he's going to do that. Like Izzy has $12 million. Like that Strickland back when he fought Gastelum didn't have $12 million. And that's a different man. Like these guys are different people. I still think with Conor McGregor back the second time he fought Poirier to the first time he fought Poirier, on a fight night, those are 2 different men. Like it just, money changes shit. It happens.
Oh yeah. And I feel like that's one of the things that's always made Khabib great is Khabib got rich, got the fame, and still just maintained training, was still on the same regimen, still never lost focus. Where it's like when Khabib and Conor fought, if Conor was still just as focused, like who knows how that fight would have went.
Right.
It's like Conor was laid off for multiple years, starting his whiskey business, doing whatever, just so many different avenues he was going down where Khabib was just focused 100%. And I feel like that is one of the hardest things for a lot of fighters is just keeping that focus when the money does start rolling in.
Facts for sure. Talking about money rolling in, let's talk about the GOAT. Friday night, bare knuckle MMA, Jorge Masvidal's bare knuckle MMA. What a show. Like, gee, what an insane show. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. So Wednesday night, so we get there, I get there, Fight Bananas, we get there. Maddie and Ross Levine, they fly in from Rhode Island. And myself, it's awesome. I host a press conference. It's the last one. Like I said, it's one picture. It's so sick. It's so one, I don't even know this. So I get there. It's at the literally where you just fought at 4 months ago. It's where the UFC just had a pay-per-view. It's a beautiful, huge arena. And I get there. It's this huge, big, press conference-y platform. And there's 2 tables on each side. And there's a big podium in the middle. And the people that work there, they'll go, oh, Dave, like that's your podium in the middle. You're hosting it. And they have names. And it's like Verdum, Jorge Masvidal, Dos Santos, and it's a couple other fighters. I'm like, holy shit. Like I'm in the middle on this podium. So I'm like, that's dope. That's cool. So I got this cool picture. It's like me in the middle. It's like Dos Santos, Verdum, and Masvidal on the side. I'm like, that's cool. So that's Wednesday. And then on Thursday it comes around. The official weigh-ins were there like in the mornings, not like the ceremony at night, which is awesome. But the official weigh-ins are really cool. It's in the hotel ballroom, just like the UFCs are. And, we're doing some stuff. We're getting content. We're talking to a lot of fighters behind the scenes. And all of a sudden, me and Dean Toole, who you know very much, and we just we're chatting back and forth. They're like, hey, like the UFC has a pre-show. Like, even the PFL has a pre-show and other events. Like, does this show have a pre-show? And we're like, no, like it doesn't. So me and Dean's like, why don't we do one? And Dean's like, all right, Dave, do it. We're like, what? He's like, yeah, like if you do it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it then. And then me and Maddie Levine for Fight Bananas, like we just have a really good rapport. We've done a lot of content together. I trust Maddie. She's awesome on the mic. And so I literally like beeline. Like I said, I'm in a room with 20 of the best fighters in the world, all bare knuckle, Goat's in there, Awesome's in there, Awesome's amazing wife's in there. Like, it's just awesome. And Joe Pennefeld's in there creating havoc like always. He's yelling at 10 people, trying to fight everyone, right? And so with that happen, I just like beeline right to Maddie Levine. And it's like, hey, Maddie, you want to like host a pre-show this Friday night for Game Bred Bare Knuckle? She's like, let's go. Like, let's do it right away. Doesn't even hesitate. So we get with like the producers of the show and all the cameramen. They're like, so we start setting that up. So now the next day is the fight day. We get there early. I got a dazzling light blue, baby blue suit. I don't know if you've seen it yet, G. It was beautiful, marvelous. So we do the pre-show. One thing is like a great story I haven't really told yet. It's awesome. So we have like these earpieces that you're supposed to hear the producer in the truck. So Maddie, they put Maddie's in and it's like check 1, 2. She hears it because we have like a hard out because they have like a B-roll tape that they're like showing the video for the people in the building, but also for everyone watching around the world, which by the way, it was free on YouTube, which it's already got 1 million views on YouTube here in America. But the people in Brazil, because of Dos Santos and Verdum's the main event, like their channel, like Fox, like their NBC, they bought it from Game Bred, and it was in 200 million homes in Brazil. It was like a big deal in Brazil. Like it was like, I don't want to say it was like a Super Bowl in Brazil, but pretty close. It was like a huge event in Brazil. So it was a big deal, right? So when they put the earpiece in my ear, it didn't work. So they're like, hey, 3 minutes to go in live. I'm like, I don't hear anything. And I'm supposed to hear Maddie. I can like hear her live in the building, but like, I can't hear nothing in my ear. They're like 30 seconds. I'm like, I can't hear nothing. And they're like, hey, just kind of roll with Maddie. And she even said, she's like, hey, when there's 3 minutes, I will kind of like say it. I'll like wink to you almost like when there's a minute, I'll be like, hey, we got 60 seconds to showtime, that kind of thing. So I know when to shut up, you know? So we did the pre-show. It was awesome. I don't know if you heard my line yet. G was a little token to my dear friend, Gillian Robertson, one of her favorite songs. I did the great poet Mac Miller once said, this is the best day ever. So that was a little token to you. So yeah, it was just awesome. The pre-show was great. It was so cool. And then it was like, they went straight into the event. And then next, thing you know, Juan Alvarez is like walking out to the ring. He wins in 13 seconds, doesn't even get touched. Like, and Juan is such a dog. Like you can tell like Juan wanted a war and wanted a heavy knockout. And just like how it went, they just kind of like got into that pocket right away. And the guy that he fought kind of like fell into him and just like fell right into a heel hook. And Juan took it 13 seconds. Juan looked beautiful like he does and just done. And then I think it was like 2 fights later that Rin,
Shazabe.
Huh?
Shazabe.
There you go. Dude, you should be a commentator for a living, G. He looked so good. Like that was the fight. Like a lot of people behind the scenes like weren't sure. He fought a guy named Carlos Guerrero who fought Michael Beast Boy Davis into a great fight, who's in the UFC, who I know you know. Like he fought a really tough guy. And not even that. Rin is like, you know, more of a karate guy, and everyone thought was like, you know, was going to kick and look good. But in that kind of aspect, is it, you know, you never know. Rin looked awesome. He looked so freaking good. Got the TKO first round, and Goat went 2-0 like they do. All they do is win. That's just all they do.
You know, it's just, it's how it is. Even like today, Shazabe showed up. We were at the track running. Literally, it's so hot outside right now.
So hot.
So we were doing drills outside, just like striking drills, then adding sprints in and things like that. Shazabe showed up, still looking pretty. So I'm like, for a bare knuckle fight, you had to have done well if you're still looking like that.
Yeah. I thought he looked really well. And like,
oh yeah,
Jorge's high on him. The brand's high on him. Like I can see, and this is what we kind of talked about before the show and after the show, as important and vital Dos Santos and Verdum is and are and will be. it's about, and it will always will be about creating and making new stars. And I think Ren is vital. I think he can be a guy that they can really build and like literally kind of create their own superstar.
And even off of just, I believe he has 2 karate combat fights, maybe 2 or 3. But out of his couple fights that he's had with them, he's developed such a huge following in Pakistan because they don't necessarily have a fighter to back at the moment, you know? It's like, so he's got this whole country behind him already. He's been making the news over there. Like, he's an absolute, like, superstar in Pakistan already. So it's like, it's time, and it's going to be, in his time, he's just going to grow to something great.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited to see what's next to him. And then there's a lot of other really, really good fights and great fights. But then, of course, like the main event, Junior Dos Santos versus Mauricio Verdum at Bare Knuckle MMA. And then did you see Verdum's face, his eye?
Oh, yeah, completely swollen shut. I'm like, those are very big boys to be hitting with no gloves on.
Gee, they're humongous. Like, like, I'm so happy you said that. I'm so even during the press conference, I don't think people understand how massive they are. And like, and you ready for this one? And I think you'll take this as a compliment. This is horrible. I'm saying this about a girl. Like, even you, like, you're strong, like you're thick in a great way. Like your shoulders, you're so strong. Your thighs are strong. Like, no one realized how muscular and big fighters are, like how built you guys are. And that's you, who's a 115-pound fighter for a living. This is Junior Dos Santos, who's a 264-pound heavyweight. He's humongous, Julian. Like his hips, like his shoulders, like just sitting next to him at the press conference, I'm like, holy fuck. Like this guy is like, he can like eat me. Like he's just humongous.
I remember when I was at ATT, obviously Junior used to train there, and I used to always relate him to like a Great Dane puppy. Like he's just like way too large to be playing, but trying to play with everyone. Yeah. Like just play fight with the 125ers, and we're like, bro, just chill. You're too big for this.
Yeah. That's facts. That's facts. They're just humongous, and it was cool when they came out. They came out like it was like it had a UFC feel for sure. Like the walkout, and like people were like over the guardrail trying to like give them high fives. The music that came out. Like when they went into the octagon, it was just like, wow, like it was a moment. It was sick. It was awesome to be there live. It was cool. And then like, I got a tad upset because Verdum, after the first round and a half, of course, JDS was doing his thing. He won all 3 rounds on 2 scores cards. 1 scorecard had Verdum winning, which was just ridiculous. But anyways, JDS was definitely winning the fight. He was just winning with the jab, just jabbing this man to death. Literally was like GSP versus, who was it? He had blonde hair. Huh? Yeah.
GSP versus everyone.
Yeah.
Just jabbing them to death.
It was like the wrestler. He had like blonde, poofy hair.
Koscheck?
Yes, Josh Koscheck. Yeah. Good call, G. He was just jabbing him to death, and that's why his eyes swelled up like that. And it was just like, he was winning the fight, and like people were starting to boo a little bit. It's like, this is what Junior needed to do. Like Verdum was trying to submit him, trying to get him down, and like there was no reason to do anything else. But it was crazy. It was just so cool. They won all 3 rounds. Dos Santos won, and it's awesome. They already have Alan Belcher, and they're fighting in literally, I think it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks from tonight, or like from Saturday. Belcher and Roy Nelson's the main event. The winner of that fight fights Junior Dos Santos now for the first ever heavyweight championship in January down south by you. So it's sick. It's like it's so cool. Like they have it like all these things in the works. It's they got an awesome thing going down there for Gamebred.
You said the crowd was booing. It's like, how about you guys get in the cage, get punched in the face by bare knuckle Junior Dos Santos, and then see what happens.
There you go. I'm cutting that up. There you go. That's a reel. There you go. Just crazy. Absolute crazy. All right. I think we did our comment. It was awesome. It was cool to do the in-ring interviews. There's just nothing like it. It's just, I love doing that. The pre-show was awesome. The whole week at Gamebred was just the best. I love it. Nothing like it in the world. Couple minutes left. Let's give it. Shevchenko, Grasso 2. Alexa Grasso won the championship maybe 6-8 months ago. Shevchenko won one of the most dominant champions in all of the UFC, not even just on the female side. was doing good. It seems like she was winning the fight. I think she was trying to do a spinning back fist, missed. She kind of fell. Grasso got her neck, did not let it go. It's so crazy. Fight as we just posted it. Remember, she had that grip, and like Shevchenko's face was like so red, and the bottom of her chin was like ghostly white. Grasso won the championship that night. G, I will hand it to you. What do you think is going to happen? Does Shevchenko win the title back? Do you think Grasso now has all this confidence of being a championship? What do you think happens?
I'm undecided because I feel like, I don't know, my mind says technically it should be Valentina. Like, okay. Valentina was winning the first fight, and she was like, she just looked like the better fighter for the first couple rounds. Mm-hmm. But like, obviously, I feel like Alexa was doing something. Maybe it's just her mentality. She's tough as anything and keeps walking forward. But Alexa did something I feel like when Valentina threw that kick, it was a mistake more than it was something calculated. So I feel like Alexa did something to bring her out of her comfort zone and bring her out of her realm. So then she was making mistakes. So I'm like, I think that might have just been because of the toughness of Grasso, that she was walking for a lot of heavy pressure. So I really don't know. I think it's a toss-up, but I want to say Valentina.
Okay. I'm saying Valentina. I'm going to like be more bold or put my foot down. I think she's going to get the championship back. I see not maybe as dead set on it, but I do see like a lot of Amanda Nunes and what Juliana Pena did. There was just that dominant champion, one of the greats on the female side for multiple years. Pena upset Amanda. Grasso upset Valentina. I think Valentina gets it back. I just think she's that good. I think she's going to be really what?
I was just going to say, I honestly think, though, no matter who wins it, I think Blanchfield takes it from both of them.
Wow, I like it, G. I like it. Okay. So you think Blanchfield definitely gets the next match? Because a lot of people are on Firo, who just defeated Rose Namajunas a couple weeks ago in Paris. Yeah, I even think the UFC likes Blanchfield. I think they're really starting to. Dude, she looked awesome against Santos. Like, I don't think you and I really kind of talked on that. Like, she looked great.
Oh, yeah, no, she looked phenomenal against Santos. Did everything that she needed. She showed her fight IQ in that fight. She showed how smart she can be and did what she needed to win the fight.
Yeah. That was actually Elle. Like, I think the next little thing, and I think she will, and I think her coaches, the next thing Erin needs to work on now, of course, so everyone she fights knows she's going to try to, like, take her down and grapple. She needs to do one of those, like, fake takedown, overhand right, like almost what Khabib Nurmagomedov did to Conor McGregor. It's like, you don't need to be the most technical striker. Like, Erin's never going to be the best at jab. Like, she is who she is. But if she can do this and then come over the top, and she does have pop, she does have power. And especially if a lot of the girls, if Valentina puts her hand down ready to underhook, she's going to get a lot of clean strikes off. And I think she's going to do damage. And yeah, dude, Erin Blanchfield is a baddie. Like, dude, she is just, when she wants it, like she gets the girl down. Like, she's just.
Oh yeah, that's why. Even I feel like if, say, Manon Farad does get the next chance, I feel like Blanchfield still beats her too. I think she beats most of the girls, like, in top 5.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's crazy. And I hope, the one thing I hope is, I hope they don't have Valentina. If Valentina wins in 3-4 days, I hope they don't do a trilogy with them two and kind of block up Blanchfield. If you're like, I wanted to keep it going. I want the divisions going. I'm so excited. That's one thing. I just had a whole podcast on the middleweight division. As much as like Izzy's awesome, and I don't have any dislike towards Izzy, I just think it's cool that Strickland's now the champion. Like, DDP can get the title shot. Shit, I know Robert Whittaker just lost. I would love for him to get in it. Chimaev can maybe get a title shot if he wins. It's just like new blood for the division. I just think it's good to have new champions, new blood, new challengers. I just think it's good.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like you should. It's good that they're finally switching it up, and I hate that so many people are like, Izzy deserves a rematch. He deserves a rematch. I'm like, if you think about it, technically, he's defended this belt once. I'm like,
no, never. This was the first one.
He's never defended it. He just won it. Yeah. So he just won the belt. So it's like,
no rematch.
Yeah, it's like you don't deserve the rematch at this point. Like, before, you deserved the rematch against Pereira because you defended the belt how many times before that? But now you haven't defended it. You don't deserve it.
Yeah, great call by you. Like, it's fine. I never thought about that, and I might steal that line for a podcast coming up. I love it. Yeah, he's never defended this championship. He does not deserve a rematch. I hate saying it. Like, he's He's an all-timer. He's probably the second greatest middleweight ever in UFC history. But on this title, like, he should not get a rematch. Should not get it.
No, exactly.
Love it. G, you're the absolute best. Anything else? Anything brewing? Any other commentating gigs on the horizon?
Not right now. I'm just hoping I get I want to start getting like fight news in. I want to get something like December, January. I heard January they have a card in Toronto, maybe. So I'm like, that would be awesome to get in Canada. But either December or January, I'd really want to get back in there. So I'm waiting for the call.
A birdie told me they might have one last show in Florida in December.
Maybe that would be a play too, especially if it's Miami. That would be awesome.
Miami or Orlando, because I heard Orlando's done, and then I heard that I was like, no way. They're like, yeah, they had that show in Orlando was so good, and especially that time of the year, because they can't go into northern cities or Minnesota or whatever because it's so damn cold. And they said they might go back to Orlando in December, and I was like, wow. Okay.
Well, maybe that I'll be able to get on that card real quick.
There you go. I don't know. We'll see. That'd be dope. That or Toronto. That's cool. All right. Cool. All right. Episode 37. We got Gillian Robertson commentating. I'm commentating. That's awesome. We're ruling the world. I absolutely love it. We'll see you guys, if not next week, the week after. It's crazy. So this weekend, Shevchenko and Grasso. You got Kevin Holland and JDM in the middle in the co-main event. Next week, literally, it's UFC's first off week in 8 weeks. So G and I might take a little off week. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then after that, all right. We're back. We'll come right back on. And then we'll take it from there. But G, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
See you
Later.